take hope to leave or find that plains of frost and birds of care, and waste away life and dying, waste away life and dying.
This next song is George Beattie's final piece of work, and it's the first song that I've ever made, put music to, that he's written, and for me it's my favourite song, and it's essentially suicide note, because it basically opens the concept of ending his own life in this song. Farewell with my love smashed, gone off like a morning dew. Farewell with my peace is banished, you a sad long Jew. Weary world, I know must leave thee, sun and moon along farewell. Farewell with no more I'll be thee, till hear my funeral bell. Soon the lips that I've kissed thee, mouldering in the dust will hide, and the heart that oft hath blessed thee, soon must cease to sigh. Soon must cease to sigh. So the tongue that still rehearses is all I beauty, life ago fair. So the hand that writes these verses shall to kindred does repair. Friends that constant very well, my face is young, heartless, unbelieving, and weary. Every earthly hope is gone. Every earthly hope is gone. Gloomy grave will soon receive me. All my sorrows here shall close. Here no fickle fear shall leave me. Here my heart shall find repose. Farewell with my love has vanished, gone off like the morning dew. Farewell with my peace is banished, you a sad long Jew.
Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic stuff, Mr. Daniel McMillan. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our presentation. As such, I hope you found that of interest. We are open to a Q&A, question and answering session. If you want to fire questions at us, myself and young Barry here will take the questions and hopefully we can answer. If you don't have any questions, I've answered them all for you, so be it. We can go and get a cup of tea and a biscuit. So don't be shy. If you
spoke about having his fiancée. So obviously, at some point, there was some understanding that she changed her mind about what happened.
No, there was no change. Well, there was ultimately a change of mind, but it was understood, like socially back then, once an arrangement obviously had been made, it was legally binding. And so George was in a position basically to take them to court, you know, because he had the letters to prove the relationship existed. And so there was a lot of harassment to try and get these letters back, because this took place from one day to the next.
Did she just change her mind?
It was more than this. He was asked by the family, when this inheritance came to the fore, when they found out about it, he was asked to, legally, in his professional capacity, to get a copy of the will, and we believe he was asked something else. I think there was a problem that they were trying to overcome somehow, you know. So this is where the speculation takes over, but we believe there was something asked of him that he wouldn't comply to. And from the Sunday to the Monday, everything was fine on the Sunday. She was always insisting that he renew his vows to her and all the rest of it, and it was always a palaver and very demonstrative. And this took place on the Sunday. The Monday, the letter, it's over. Something happened, obviously, I would say, on the Sunday at some point, and he's ousted from the relationship. And the relationship existed for now in best part of 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, and so he's absolutely dumbfounded what's happening here from one day to the next. And so he's also ousted from the legal services also, you know, so that is, everything is so quick. And then the next thing that apparently happens, according to Mount Cyrus, is that she backpedals and says that it was all just a test. And she was, and so he believes it for a short period of time that everything's back to normal, and then she does it again. And so his mind is gone crazy with all this torment and obviously everything else, you know. So there's months go by, you know, and this relationship with the William Smart, who apparently took no notice of Miss Gibson prior to, you know, this inheritance. So George is out on the Monday, and the she's immediately engaged herself with William Smart, you know, inexplicably to George at least. But we believe that there was obviously some arrangement that had taken place. It wasn't just William Smart. His brother George was obviously, he was probably the brains of the family. He was a corn merchant. They both were corn merchants. But I think George was the brains behind the operation, and whatever was acquired by William Smart, George obviously was able to glean some, you know, benefit from that as well.
She eventually married William Smart.
Well, what had actually happened was they were announced they were going to get married immediately. You know, so this is bizarre. I mean, it would be bizarre for anybody, but that's basically what happened. And so George made up a will eventually after several months, and but he was being constantly harassed and hounded and humiliated, which was it was a campaign, and it was also included what was termed a relative of William Smart, and we can only assume that was George Smart, his brother, so Smart of Cairnbank. And so this was like a campaign. So he was getting mentally pushed down a particular road because he was obviously a problem. There was something that he was a threat to. Simple as that, probably because he knew too much. They thought he would, because of his love for Miss Gibson, he would say yes to whatever they were asking him to do. That's speculation, but it makes too much sense. So George makes up a will, and it's a very extensive, very detailed will. So there's a lot of work went into it. People speculating he was crazy. If you read this will, you would understand this is a man who knew what he was, exactly what he was doing. And so he makes the will. The will has about 60 days to become valid. And he asked Miss Gibson, could you wait? Don't do anything for the 60 days. And nothing did happen for the 60 days, but she alluded to the fact that she wasn't going to wait. No, it was simple as that. No, we're not going to wait. Anything that could push him, further. But the fact that he waited so long, and because it was important to him to have, there was obviously some estrangement with him and his oldest brother, James, because he's never mentioned at any point. James and the father were very close. They worked together as officers of excise. So he was the oldest. Mike Cyrus in the book says that George was the oldest, but that's it. James was the oldest. And so the father and James are close, but there's never any mention. So we can only assume that there was some maybe estrangement there. All he refers to is his younger siblings, David and Catherine, and that's who he worked, and obviously his mother and father. He does want to take care of them, but he never mentions James at any point. But if he dies intestate, then all his plans are pointless. All that will and all the effort that went into that will, so everything he had would just go to the oldest, which would have been James. That's when he didn't, obviously, wouldn't want it to go, and he would have no protection possibly for the people he was intending it for, and that was paramount to him, was to look after these particular siblings. And so for him to die 8 days before this will becomes valid is peculiar, to say the least. And I have read somewhere that it was stated that he died, he killed himself on the day of the wedding. Well, there was no wedding took place, so there's no particular reason why it should happen at that particular time. So after he's dead, William Smart, we believe, was waiting to see what was happening with this money. It never materialised, so he delayed the wedding, he postponed it several times until, ultimately, but I think that was more pressure from, public pressure. He couldn't back out of it any more than, legally. He was bound as well because socially they knew he was engaged to her. And so, they ultimately got married, but he treated her very badly, to say the least. And she had a life of comfort but loveless misery, and that seemed to be well known. Everybody, it goes over and over in the book, Mount Cyrus, and it makes sense that everybody knew there was no love there. She was treated just like tolerated, basically. There's several stories to back that up. But she died 17 years later. She probably just lost the will to live, but she regained the understanding that George Beattie was the person that she loved, and obviously she would have had a completely different life. But we don't believe the money materialised. We believe they already had money. They were not poor by any stretch. They already had money, but obviously he had his sights on this was quite a significant amount. And when Robert Gibson died, obviously Mrs. Gibson, William Gibson's mother, acquired everything. So he died, what year was that again? Robert Gibson, 1828, I think he died. Anyway, she was living in Caneva on her own. So when Miss Gibson dies, William Gibson is making this huge effort to try and demonstrate his mournfulness, and his grief, which nobody believed at all. And just briefly hark back to when they get married. When they arrived back in the town, the public feeling was so great that they were chased from the harbour and stoned. So they were directly blamed for George Beattie's death, so the public strongly believed there was something amiss, obviously, and they were directly blamed for it, and took shelter in the Star Inn. after Miss Gibson dies at 42-year-old, 2 years she was dying. She died in Castlestead Job Centre now. That's when William Gibson, William Smart continued to live there. So we can only, we believe that George Smart ended up, and the brother ended up in Caneva House after Mrs. Gibson died, Isabel Gibson, the mother. But what had happened was William Smart, according to Mount Cyrus, paid extraordinary attention to his mother-in-law, and ultimately she left him everything. So one way or another he acquired the Gibson estate for the entirety, and but he didn't have a happy life after that himself, apparently. So, but that's basically it. So, and he left everything to his brother George, who died 5 years later. So whoever got that after, inherited after that. But yeah, there's so much you can, there really is. That's like John's saying. There's too many rabbit holes you can go down. You can get really bogged down in all the details. There's just no shortage of them. That's the point. Sorry.
Barry, it's nice to know that most people know that I live on the Caneva estate,
Yeah.
and I pass the big house, okay, and the walled garden where George Beattie and Miss Gibson used to meet, and I've been to weddings in that beautiful garden, and it is romantic there, but it is nice to know that, every day as I pass that walled garden, that there was something nice.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, George Beattie was in seventh heaven there. I mean, that was his happiest times. Everything he ever dreamt, everything was going to go pear-shaped the way it did. But no, that was his happy times, and obviously that lingers. No doubt about it.
I would just like to put my I'm Christine Smart, and I used to live at Caneva House and still have connections with it.
Oh.
And as far as we know, the first Smart to live at Caneva House was my father-in-law, Graham Smart, who bought the house in 1945.
Right.
And as far as my records go, there isn't any word of another Smart having owned Caneva House.
Well, that's it. All we know is what, in that respect, is what Mount Cyrus says, that Mrs. Gibson was left everything by her husband, Robert Gibson, and then subsequently left everything to William Smart.
Yeah, I think it was so.
I think that actually, what you said there actually ties in nicely, because this is the kind of information that supports the research that we're actually doing. Now, if you take Robert Gibson's will into consideration, in his will, which is obviously quite an extensive document because he was a wealthy landowner at the time, he wants his estate to be cash realised. Now, that's selling off the property and selling off all the lands on the event of his death. That's actually stated in his will, so that would make sense. So for the supposition, right, that William Smart inherited that property, again, he would have had to have bought the property, William Smart, but he's already bought property. So what you're saying there is, if your records don't show, then that then is another piece of the puzzle in this jigsaw. And that's the kind of information we're looking for, because that supports what Robert Gibson said in his will.
Well, unfortunately, I would have looked it up in the title deeds, but they're in safekeeping and solicitors.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one for the. I mean, I've looked through the sale sign registers in Edinburgh, and because we've got a royal borough here, all the ownership of property is actually in sale sign registers in Edinburgh, and it's quite a job looking through all that. I don't know if the Land Register Scotland deal with it, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're looking at people's ownership of property. It's quite intrusive, in a sense. So anyway, it is historical, and it's all down to history at the end of the day. But yeah, what you've said there does actually make sense for me.
I'm also not sure that we have any connections with those Smarts that were there.
Exactly. I mean, again,
I don't know. We're looking back into it, but Claire only informed me of this on Sunday. So
yeah. That's very kind of you. If we could keep in touch, and probably forward on some information.
Yeah, it's something you've got to be able to work with.
That's a very interesting. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for.
It's
Another piece of the jigsaw.
If we can find the missing bit of the jigsaw puzzle, I'll get back.
That'd be very kind of you, madam. I do appreciate that.
Because if Robert Gibson owned it, then obviously and his wife was still living there after
We know
his
about
death,
We know about
then, and if she did leave everything to William Smart of Cairnbank, then, you know, what happens? That's where it gets obviously cloudy, that's where, you know, we've lost the trail basically. You know, we can only assume after that what's happened. I mean, like, we know that William Smart, if he inherited, like Andrew Smith is saying, everything from Mrs. Gibson, then, and William Smart actually acquired it, and then he subsequently leaves it to everything to his brother, George. You know, that's all the only direction we can go is because we've never found any other evidence to suggest anything different. So I mean, at the end of the day, we don't really want to lose sight that the whole point of this is trying to understand why George Beattie's name was blackened to the extent it was. And then we did ask about certain statements that were made and published. It came back, it was just something we heard. Totally unsubstantiated to the hilt. And so, because George Beattie was regarded as being temperate by and also it's in the book that Andrew Smith's original biography that he was extremely temperate actually, and so non-drinking to a large extent, if maybe not at all. So the idea that that he would be, you know, such a character is going against every single piece of research that we've uncovered, and then the independent journalists of the Montrose Review would have. I mean, there's very few people that would get an obituary written like that off their own backs, and nobody's paid them to do it. I mean, that was them echoing the sentiment in the town at the time. But the point is, I mean, what all we've been asking, the real question we've been asking is, there's so